Hey everyone, today I wanted to make a video about what has become my favorite EDC multi-tool, and that is the Juice S2 by Leatherman. This thing has been with me for probably close to 3 years now. I've used it I don't know how many times, but I carry it with me, and may not use it every day, but when I need it, it's definitely really nice to have it. And so I'll do a comparison between some other different multi-tools to show you some size, and then let you know what kind of features it has and why it is my favorite EDC multi-tool. So first I want to do a comparison for size. I got two different other multi-tools here that will show you kind of the two different sides of the spectrum. First up, for the smaller size, I have the Leatherman Squirt PS4. This is a really great multi-tool, but it's definitely on the very, very small end. And then going to the other extreme, I have the SOG Power Lock multi-tool, which is definitely a full-size multi-tool. So as you can see, the Leatherman Juice is right in the middle. Then if you get like a Leatherman Wave, that would be right in between the Juice and the Power Lock. But for me, this seems to be the perfect size for EDC. This one is great if space is definitely an issue for you, but this one's definitely not so big that it becomes obtrusive. So I want to start by showing you the features that it has on the outside. It does have a couple different tools that are accessible from the outside. The first of which is a knife here. As you can see, it's a fairly long knife. I mean, it takes up the entire length of the multi-tool, but it's fairly effective. I don't use it a whole lot just because I always carry a knife on me anyway, so I don't use this a whole lot, but it does come extremely sharp, so definitely something that can be used if you have to for whatever cutting jobs that you may need it for. And then on the other side you have a bottle opener, and then you can maybe even use this as a screwdriver if you had to, but then you also have a pair of scissors, and these are easily the best scissors on a multi-tool that I've ever had. It springs back open, so you don't have to keep opening and closing it manually. And this is probably the thing that I use on this multi-tool the most, maybe other than the screwdrivers on the inside. But it is an extremely good set of scissors for a multi-tool, and they've been very, very durable and have stayed sharp for the entire time that I've had it. Now to show you the inside, of course you're going to have your standard pliers. It comes to a fairly fine tip up here, and just as a point of comparison, on the smaller Squirt PS4, it actually has a wider tip for those pliers, which is kind of odd considering it's a smaller multi-tool. And then even more odd, on the SOG Power Lock, it actually comes to a much finer point than the Juice does. But you know, I haven't come into any issues where these have been too wide. I mean, just for everyday tasks, these pliers are great. And then you also have a little wire cutter here down at the base of the pliers, which comes in handy. It's not something I use a whole lot with what I have to do every day, but it's nice to have them. I've used them a couple times, and they've worked really well for the small jobs that I've had to use them for. Now on this side, really the only tool other than the lanyard hole that you might be able to see in there is a full-size Phillips head screwdriver. It's really nice to have a full-size screwdriver on a multi-tool. A lot of times you get the really narrow ones, and they're kind of a joke, to be honest. They don't really work super well, but to have a full-size Phillips head on a multi-tool of this size is a really, really nice thing to have. And then flipping it over, you have multiple different size screwdrivers down here, all of which are flatheads. This one is the widest and the shortest, and then going to the next one down, you have a much longer, narrow one, and then the last one is about as long, maybe a little bit longer, and then slightly wider than this narrow one. So it's a nice in between for those two. I've used all of these for different jobs. The narrow one is great for working on glasses or any pieces of jewelry that have really small screws. I've used this on my glasses I don't know how many times. The wide ones are great for pretty much any of their standard size screws, and then this middle one I usually use more for getting into places and prying open if I have to. Nothing too heavy duty, but I've definitely gotten use out of all three of these. They each fill a niche that I need them to perfectly, it always seems. So really good variety of sizes as far as flatheads go. But I mean, that's all the tools that come on the Juice S2. Leatherman does make a couple different other Juice models which have more tools, but for me, what I need this to do every single day is much more limited than what the other ones have. Like some of them have the little corkscrew as a wine opener. Yeah, that's not really something that I need. So this one is the perfect, size efficient multi-tool for me to carry on my person. It has really no abrasive edges on the outside, so it doesn't really tear up my pocket like some others do, and it just fills the role that I need it to perfectly. Now, one thing you may notice looking at this thing is it does have a little bit of wear. That's just a byproduct of me carrying it every day. Got a couple scratches, a couple dents, and on this particular one of these scales on the outside is a little bit loose, but it's not so much that I can actually remember which one it is. This one, you might be able to hear, wiggles a little bit, but again, nothing so crazy that it feels like it's going to fall off, or and it doesn't hinder operation at all. But it has come a little bit loose. But again, after using this for 3 years, using it as much as I do use it, that's more than okay with me. Now, I understand that Leatherman has come out with a more updated model of these. I don't necessarily see myself having to replace this anytime soon, but if I do, I might pick up one of those newer models, or even just to be able to compare it to this one. Leatherman makes really, really awesome multi-tools. Really the only multi-tool that I have that is not a Leatherman, because I have the little squirt here, I have the wave, but the one that I have that is not a Leatherman is this SOG Power Lock. In my opinion, this is the best full-size multi-tool that I've ever used. But don't want to spend too much time talking about this since the video is not about this, but absolutely love this thing as far as a full-size multi-tool goes. But this multi-tool, it fits perfectly in any pocket that you can really think to put it in. I usually keep it in one of my back pockets, and it doesn't really get in the way when I sit down. It doesn't take up so much space that I can't put anything else in the pocket. I usually keep this in the same pocket that I have a lighter in. And I mean, this thing has just come in handy so many times, especially the scissors. Who carries scissors on themselves every day, and yet how often do we find ourselves needing to use scissors? And I mean, this thing has saved me a couple times. Usually a lot of times people will ask if I'll see people trying to cut paper and having a really hard time with it, so I pop this thing out, and it just makes every job so much easier. So if you're looking for a mid-size to a smaller size multi-tool to carry on you every single day, I really think that you should give the Leatherman Juices a try. These things are awesome. They're fairly inexpensive, and they're going to last for a long, long time. Like I said, I've had this thing for close to 3 years, probably more. So I've been really, really satisfied with the value that I've gotten out of this. If you have any experience with multi-tools, whether it be the super small ones like the Squirt, or the really big ones like the Power Lock, or like the Super Tool 3000, or whatever the number is, go ahead and let me know what you think about those. If you have any of the other Leatherman Juice models, go ahead and let me know how you like those. If you really feel like those extra tools are worth the size. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. But I hope you were able to get something out of this video, and I appreciate you watching.